Exclamation everybody, and welcome to another channel update. This one for August of 2018. Our normal monthly channel updates coming along to you a little bit later in the month than usual, but you know it's working. The game in the background, if you're wondering, is called Super Mario Flashback. It's a fan-made demo that's out there that I managed to get my hands on before before Nintendo's lawyers get their hands on it. So just playing it a little bit. Just a note, if you are interested in the gameplay. I am playing this on a keyboard, so you know, give my platforming or my lack of platforming skills a little bit of a break. As you'll see later on, I do eventually finish the game or finish the demo, but there's a certain jump a little bit later on that's a bit will be frustrating to watch, probably as frustrating as it was to actually play. Anyway, as per the normal format for a channel update, I have some statistics here for the channel, and then we'll chat a little bit about the health of the channel and what's going on, and a few other things here. I expect to be out of here in about a half an hour. That's all the footage I have, so hopefully we can do it in that amount of time for a change. I am a bit rambly, as you might, as anyone who's been on the channel knows, for any length of time here. So as far as statistics go, total number of video views on the channel went from 140,443 last month to 142,179. YouTube has been really hot and cold when it comes to Let's Play videos anymore. I've been keeping an eye on a lot of different channels. I watch a lot of Let's Players, and they all seem to be having a very similar problem where YouTube's just like, yeah, you know what? Nobody's coming onto YouTube to watch gameplay anymore. They just want to watch, you know, react videos and other weird, crazy things. So we're not gonna, you know, let the search engine find your videos anymore, that kind of thing. So it'll be reflective in a lot of these stats that I'll be showing you. Our subscribers, we went from 457 to 461 on the YouTube channel. And minutes watched, 5,662 last month to 5,301 this month. And that's given that I had more videos last month, I believe, than this month, but still, it's still a downward trend that is kind of interesting and strange at the same time. As far as number of videos, total number of videos on the channel, 2,610 we had last month. This month we're up to 2,669. So roughly, we're saying 59 videos this month thus far, or in a month. So a little over a month. So yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot going out there. It's going to slow down a bit. It has already slowed down a bit this week. It's going to slow down. It's going to probably stay around this pace for a little bit, although there'll be a few more days off where you don't see any footage, any videos from me. That's just the nature of the beast right now. I'll get into that in a little bit. But as far as over on the streaming side of things, Mixer, we had 35 followers last month. We're down to 34 this month. No biggie there. Caffeine, we went from 84 followers last month to 91 this month. So I'm actually seeing a lot more interest over on Caffeine than on anything else. They've actually changed their algorithm for the front page, where it seems like I'm becoming a little bit more visible on the front page. Kinda, sorta. It's interesting and weird. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then as far as I can calculate, last month I had 69 hours of streaming, total hours of streaming. This month it's more like 52. This week's been I would have been up near that 69 number again, but this last week has been interesting. Let's put it that way. I wasn't in the mood really to stream this week the way I have been the last couple weeks, and I've also been struggling a little bit to figure out exactly what I want it to stream. And it's we'll talk about that here now. It's the way I'm looking at this is I'm trying to find a way to sort of integrate with the changes that have been happening on the internet as it is. It seems to me, you know, looking at other YouTubers, I watch a lot of different YouTubers that do different kinds of things. I watch, you know, Good Boulder Fist. I watch his name escapes me for a moment. Vintage Beef. There you go. The names start to escape me after a while. I watch Madry Bread. These are all different YouTubers doing things in somewhat different ways. I also watch some of Jesse Cox's stuff and whatnot. And they all have different styles. They all have different means of operating. And I'm seeing a pattern form amongst all of them, which is they're all hurting pretty bad right now. As far as videos, as far as views and stuff go, they're all pushing their Patreons now quite a bit. Although Good, maybe not so much him, but he's been doing some interesting things with the live streaming, where I believe I saw one of his videos where it was like he's got videos going up that he recorded as a live stream months and months ago. In fact, I think one of his Minecraft series I think he was talking about has he's got videos scheduled all the way out till next year because he recorded so much. So that's kind of an interesting way of going about it. That's kind of what I was looking at a little bit. I was like, oh, I'll just try to do the whole, you know, I'll record several hours of a live stream and then I'll have enough content and all that stuff. And it's a little bit different than what I used to do when I wasn't doing streaming quite as much. It used to be that I would record for maybe, you know, an hour, maybe two, depending on how I felt. And then I would, that would be enough for like 2 episodes or so, if I could stretch it out a bit. And I would then cut those together and make some footage and make some videos, and everything would be pretty straightforward from that point. I sort of decided to follow the same kind of thing going with the live stream, which is like, well, it's just going to be a longer recording session, right? It's, you know, I'm streaming for 3 hours or so, and I'll just put all that together and everything will be good. The problem has been I end up with far too much footage. The difference between a live stream and doing it myself is that whenever I would come up to a point where I know maybe I'm struggling with something, or you know, I just died and I have to replay a certain section or whatnot. Whenever I'd come up to that, I would, or a part where I knew I was going to cut, basically. I would just stop talking, and then that would make the edits a lot easier, because then I just look at the timeline in Vegas, and I'd see a spot where there's no, you know, audio from me, and then I know, okay, I'm going to cut this whole big section, and it's going to be done, and everything will be great. Can't really do that so much on live streams anymore, because I kind of have to really be talking a lot, because you don't want people to show up to the live stream and you're not really talking, unless there's a cutscene or something going on. So you end up talking a lot more, which means the editing process becomes a lot more complicated. I have to actually watch more of the footage than I normally would. I know that sounds weird saying that, but it's you know, usually when I'm editing something, it's the day after or a couple days after I actually record it. So it's like I know exactly what's coming up. It's not like I'm not listening to my own voice or anything like that. It's more of a, I know what's here, and I kind of want to, you know, make a good cut, make a good edit, and all those things. When it comes to, obviously with the live streams, I can't really do that so much, so it's been a lot harder to edit things, and I've been finding my, what would be the great word for it, my patience for the editing has been waning lately. So you'll see a lot of things where I'm just kind of like, you know what, screw it, here, just leave all this stuff in. Stuff that I normally would have cut, I'm leaving in, or I'm not keeping up the schedules as well as I used to because, you know, it's just too much to edit at once. I'm running out of time to do it. Those kinds of things have been plaguing me quite a bit lately. So it's been, with all that said and all that going through there, that's kind of explaining a little bit of the weirdness that you might be seeing on the channel as far as, you know, the inconsistencies and stuff. But the other thing is that I've noticed, and I wasn't kidding many moons ago when I said that I do watch some of my own footage. You know, like I actually, after I make a recording, every so often, like once a week or so, I'll go back and watch an old video or whatever, or a video from the week and whatnot, you know, the fully edited version and all that stuff, and watch it like I would any normal Let's Play. And what I've noticed, and it's been a long time coming, it's been happening for at least the past year, I'd say, or very close to a year. What I'm noticing is that I'm still having a lot of fun doing Let's Plays, but it's not coming through in the recordings anymore. It sounds a lot more like it's just a chore, and in many ways it feels like it's just a chore to do the Let's Play recordings and whatnot anymore. And it's starting to reflect in the footage, even though I'm still enjoying a lot of it. So I think some of that has to do with the recording sessions being so long now, that I am getting far more tired towards the end of them, and it's not, you know, I'm starting to like lose the edge, as it were. You know, lose the I don't know, the ability to convey the fun that I'm still having, that kind of thing. And it does, more of the chore-ness of it comes out. So that's something I've kind of lost, and I feel like that's something I need to regain back, because I think that was probably more important than anything else when it comes to Let's Play, is to convey the message that you're still having fun, and that you know, everything is on the up and up and all that stuff. So I feel like that's something I'm going to try to recover, and the only way I can think to do that is to shorten the length of my recording sessions again, go back to, you know, recording something for an hour or whatnot. And also, obviously, and I've said this thousands of times at this point, reducing the number of Let's Plays I actually do in a week, that kind of thing. I have so many balls up in the air right now as far as series, things that I haven't finished. You know, one of the goals, one of the side goals I had for the channel was that I would finally start to, you know, doing this Let's Play stuff would enable me to finally start finishing some games instead of just playing them and then tossing them aside once I got tired of them. Because I had a big problem with that, where I had most of the games I owned I never actually finished, because I would just get to a certain point and then just give up on them. And it's helped a bit. I've certainly finished more games than I have in many years, but I'm still getting to that point where I'm still abandoning a lot of things. And you know, if I look at someone like say Space Game Junkie, another YouTuber that I watch a lot of and follow on Discord and all that stuff, He did something. He does something interesting that I never really considered, which is he just plays a game for 5 days, five episodes, and then just says, "Okay, I'm done," and then moves on to the next one. Which is certainly an interesting way of going about it, because it does solve the one problem that a lot of Let's Plays have, which is after about episode 4 or 5, most people stop watching, even though you've got a 35 episode Let's Play. So that sort of solves that problem a little bit, but it also solves the problem of burnout, right? You don't play something enough to burn out on it. It doesn't have a chance really to become a chore unless it's a really bad game and you're really not into it, right? It doesn't stick around long enough for it to become a chore, and you can still be very energetic, I guess is the word I'm looking for, as far as it's concerned. So I can see that being an interesting way of doing it. The only reason I haven't done something like that is because I still do really want to finish games that I've started. I do really want to see the ending of them. But I have to acknowledge that I do have a whole series that does something very similar, which is basically side quests, where I play something once and then sometimes I never see it again on the channel. I have a lot of games I've played, an hour of, and then kind of toss aside. I played it enough to do a first impression video on it, and that was it. And some of those games also, I come back and revisit them, and they've gotten even better than they were. Like they did them in early access, and now they're released, and now they're even, a solid game now and all that stuff. And I never really get to see that. And then there's the whole live stream thing, which is like, how does that fit into the whole package? And what I'm seeing is that I think most people would rather their Let's Plays be live streams, because they can kind of jump in, jump out whenever they feel like it, and they don't really need to be there for the whole thing, and maybe don't have the patience for an entire series, say, and by an entire series, I mean, a series on YouTube can take months to finally, play out, and you might not want to spend a month waiting or 2 months waiting for all these episodes to come out for things. You just want to see a live stream and be done with it. And also, that seems to be the place to go now. People are really into just watching it live and not worrying so much about the VODs, so to speak. So I've been trying to figure out how to integrate some of that stuff and also do some different things. I've noticed that people really seem to take to the side quest videos. I get a decent number of views within the first week of it. I mean, decent for me, which is like 10, but that's still, it's decent for me. Whereas other videos I might get like 1 or 2, the regular Let's Plays. So I've been trying to think of how to handle that. It brings me back to the old, I used to have the Cube Ramblings episodes where I go and just on a ramble about the latest news and stuff like that. And I stopped doing that because, well, there was 2 reasons. One, it was taking me a lot of time to do it, and I was being my normal procrastinating self and waiting till the very end to get the stories together. So it would be literally Saturday night at like 11:30 when I would start recording, and I'd usually record well past midnight Sunday morning, and the quality of my audio recording reflected that. I mean, it was clear that there were moments when I was getting so tired I didn't even know what I was saying. And that actually is something that happens to me. Like even on live streams, I've had a few live streams recently where I got so tired on the live stream, I start saying random words and don't know what I'm saying. and then I realized that I don't remember what I just said, or if it made any sense, and then it kind of it worries me a bit because I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Yeah, that was it's a state I try not to get into, because who knows? Because basically it's gibberish at that point. Like there's just random words coming out of my mouth, random thoughts, because that aren't fully fleshed out, those kinds of things. So I try to avoid that as much as I physically can. So those were the reasons why I stopped doing that. But then I'm thinking about it again. I'm like, I've had thoughts for many moons about, well, maybe I should bring it back, but I should bring it back in a more structured format. Have a structured conversation. Borrow some of this structure from a lot of the live streams that I see that do like the 4-panel, live streams where they got people like, here, what are the games you played this week, and what did you think of them, and that kind of thing. And obviously it'll just be me and not anybody else, but I play a lot of games in a week. I could do a recap sort of thing, and then maybe do like one news article or whatnot. I wanted to get away from the news stuff too, because a lot of the gaming news sites have decided that they're going to get on board with the whole outrage culture thing that's going on right now, because they need them clicks. And so I was seeing a lot of articles. I see a lot of articles now even being tweeted out that are like with crazy headlines and just weird and random, just nonsense, unresearched things happening. The quality of the articles being very, very low, and I really don't want to promote that stuff. I really don't. And it's hard to do a news segment like that, because there's a lot of sites that just do that. Every site seems to fall into that trap at some point, and there's some that do it more than others. I'm not going to point any fingers or anything, but it's gotten pretty bad. And I don't, I'm not a journalist. I don't have sources. All I got are RSS feeds. I don't have the inside track on things. I can't go verify news on my own. I just don't have A, the time, or B, the resources to do such a thing. So being my own news outlet is out of the question. So the question becomes, what's the happy medium there? And really, I can't find one. The only happy medium I can really find is to say, I can talk about the games that I've played. I can maybe list off patch notes and stuff from other games, if I can find them. If games have come out with new updates and whatnot, maybe go over those, list those out. Just like hard facts, nothing beyond that, really. Or if there's a trailer that comes out, maybe do a little thing on that and see what I saw and all those things. But really, can't do much more beyond that. And again, all that stuff requires a lot of work. But I've had that thought for a while. I've had the thought of maybe I should try to get back into that and do something similar, and get back into the groove and get those rambling videos back, but maybe not have them as a rambling video, that kind of thing. Another thing, that's one thing I've been kind of rattling around in my brain for a while to see if I could maybe do that. I don't have any answers yet as to whether I can do that or not, but one thing I have been doing, and I mentioned this in one of the live streams that is not recorded. I have been thinking about doing actual reviews of games. And by reviews, I mean reviews of games that I've played through, which isn't very many. And I have some ground rules around which ones I'll actually review, those kinds of things. Like I have to actually finish the game. If it's a game that can be finished, if it's a game that is that doesn't have like a story to it, then I have to have at least 200 hours in it. If it's an if it's an MMO or something like that, or a multiplayer only game, then like a few hundred hours put into it. Or 150 hours, something like that. If it's story based, then go through the storyline, that kind of thing. Have to finish the storyline. So I've been working on that. I have one review written. It's for Chasm, since I played through that entirely. I haven't recorded myself yet. I've got it all written down in a format that I can read. It's going to be a scripted thing. I would imagine it's only going to be about 5 minutes, the video itself, because I don't have that much written. I got a couple of paragraphs, but I can't imagine it's like a 20-minute long thing unless I read very, very, very slowly. But I don't want to lead off with that one because it's a not recommended game. I want to sort of lead off with a game that I do recommend before I do that. So I've been holding off on finishing the recording on that and all that stuff until I get my second review written, which is going to be for Ni no Kuni 2, which I'm in the process of playing the DLC for. There will be some footage eventually of me playing the DLC for Ni no Kuni 2 that has come out. I'm holding on to it for a little bit because I got stuck really quickly onto it, and I didn't feel like there was enough footage to really justify putting like I had 3 hours of footage, but it's mostly stuff that's going to end up on the cutting room floor because it's just a lot of grinding, and I want to try to get through some of it before I do that. So I am working on that. So there will be an episode up for that eventually once I can get through it. I'm doing a lot of grinding off camera to try to get to a point where I can, the point where I can get through the story, the DLC story that's there. So working on that right now, and that would probably be the first one that I would do. I'm tentatively going to call the series Second Impressions, which I know is the worst title I could come up with, but it's also a title that I don't think anyone else has used. So I can't call it First Impressions because everybody else and their grandmother has First Impressions videos. But I could call it Second Impressions because technically it is a second impression. It's me going back and doing a review after I've played the game, so maybe that all works out properly. We'll see. But that's my thought for one piece of content I've been thinking about working on. The other thing is, obviously, I'm going to keep doing the side quest videos. That's still very much a thing that I have in my brain to use, and I think we were actually at the end of my footage here, so this is probably gonna loop around. I swore I was only gonna make it like 30 minutes, but we'll loop this footage a little bit for you. So I'll be working on that a bit. I'll be working on that a bit. Let me get this to loop for you a little bit. Oh, did it restart? I think it restarted. I hope it restarted. I told OBS to restart the footage one. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So I'm looking at that stuff. I'm looking at maybe doing some of that. Obviously I'm not going to be able to do all of this unless I have some sort of epiphany where I can actually write faster. The big problem with doing like a review thing is it takes me forever to write stuff. I don't think my writing's too bad. In fact, you might hear me use vocabulary words that you've never heard me use before in a normal footage, a normal video, because I actually have time to think before I do stuff. But I don't think my writing is terrible, but at the same time, I'm not professional, and also it takes me a long time to like settle on the right words for things. Like, I'm very particular about words when I write them down, because there's no body language or anything that can indicate that you're being facetious or something like that. You kind of have to write things in a way that makes it obvious that what your intents are. And though I'll be doing audio, and I could sort of convey it that way, I still have this thing in my head where I need to convey it in the writing itself and the words that I use. So it takes me extra long to settle on things, settle on the words I'll be using and all that stuff. So even now, even though I've said I have it written for Chasm, even now I'm thinking in my head like, oh, maybe I should rephrase one of these things, or maybe I should add a little bit here, add a little bit there. So it's a at this point, multi-week process. I started it last week and still not quite satisfied with everything that I've written on there. I'm satisfied with most of it, but not still a few pieces that I'm kind of tweaking a little bit there. I will also be giving things a score, which is, I know it kind of doesn't mean much, but it's still something that a lot of people look at. And honestly, I'll probably put the score in the actual title of the video, so that, you know, I'll just say, hey, if somebody says this is the worst video I ever seen, you say, well, I saved you a click by putting the score right there, so you can see it. You know, you didn't have to watch it at all. Those are things that I'm thinking about. Those are things that are in my head. I've been watching some other videos out there that other YouTubers do. Like I was watching was it Ross's Game Dungeon, where he goes into sort of a long form talk about review about games. I was watching his like Deus Ex one and a couple of his Deus Ex ones, and what was the other one? There was another one in there too that I was seeing. And he's got kind of the same thing that I used to do with Cube Ramblings, which is like, you know, I could ramble on for 45 minutes, just go off on a tangent and stuff. The problem is that when I go off on a tangent, when I come back from that tangent, I often forget what I actually covered and what I didn't cover, so I end up repeating myself. He doesn't seem to have that problem with his stuff. Like he doesn't seem to repeat points that he already made. Total Biscuit had that problem a little bit too. Like he would go off on a tangent about something and then come back from it and then repeat the same point that he made again, sometimes 3 times or more. And that's the same problem that I have. Everybody, I think, would have a similar problem if you kind of lose your track of what you said and whatnot. So my idea behind scripting the whole thing was to avoid that, you know, make my points and shove off kind of thing. It's not ideal. I would like to do something like that where it's like a 40-minute video where I just kind of wax philosophical about a game, but I don't know how to do it and not fall into the trap that I mentioned earlier, with repeating yourself constantly and all that stuff. I mean, obviously I could edit the repeats out, but then it feels like I've tried that in the past, even with Cube Ramblings, and then I realized it just takes too much time to do that because you got to watch the whole thing again, and it's just, you got to get something out and all that stuff. So it's just, I don't know how well I can handle that myself, but that's where we stand there. Again, none of this stuff is going to happen anytime. It's going to happen soon. It's just things that I have in my brain that I wish to do. I'm trying to change the way that I do content. I'm trying to bring some of the fun back into it. I mean, I'm still. It's hard to say that because I am having fun, but it's like I'm trying to bring the fun back to the viewers, I guess. The knowledge back to the viewers that I am still having fun doing this. And so what that means is my Let's Plays, I'm going to start doing the Let's Plays the way that I always did them, which is probably not doing them as live streams. There'll still be a few things I do as live streams, but I'm not going to rely on them as much as I have been. I'm going to make the live streams be their own thing, because then I can interact with the chat and I don't feel like I'm making bad YouTube content, you know, because you can't see the chat and you can't see what's going on, all that stuff. Also, it eliminates some of the I have too much footage going around, because I did have a lot of footage. This last week was me just basically clearing out, last 2 weeks really was me just clearing out all the footage I had just sitting around. That's why you had so many episodes of Destiny 2, which I actually still have tons of. I've played through the entire Red War arc of Destiny 2, so I still have a bunch of footage left of that, so you're going to see more of me cleaning that out this week as I go through. Also Neverwinter, clearing out all that stuff. I cleared out the last of what I had of Star Trek Online, so I need to record more Star Trek Online. Need to record more Neverwinter as well. Those kinds of things. I'll be glad to get back to those. And I do have a few other things in the pipeline that I'm recording, but I'm doing it as I'm taking a page out of the book of other like proper Let's Play YouTubers. And when I say proper Let's Play YouTubers, I'm thinking about in particular the way Madry Bread does it, where you basically play through the game on your own, learn the mechanics, and then go back and play the game for the YouTubes as not a blind playthrough. Like all my playthroughs mostly are blind playthroughs, and that could be fun if you are very attuned to the comedy of things. Like if you're like, if I think about, say, Jesse Cox, for instance, he does what it looks like, at least appears to be, a lot of blind Let's Plays, and he can make it work because he can ham it up quite a bit. There are times if you watch him enough, you can tell when he's kind of just faking it to make it, so to speak, where he's really kind of going a little bit overboard with the ham and the cheese. And those are kind of rough moments that you have to watch, but for the most part, I mean, he makes entertaining things, so, well, for the majority of the time, he makes entertaining things anyway. It does get a little bit iffy with the ham sometimes, but, you know, you take the good with the bad. And it's, I don't have that, is what I'm trying to get at. I just don't have that ability. I don't have the enough dynamicness to kind of pull that kind of thing off. So what I am trying to do instead is to say, look, I'll blind play through stuff, but I'll do it as a live stream. My live streams will be the blind playthrough, and then if I really like the game, if it's a game that I feel like I can play a second time, then I will do a Let's Play series of it where I will be playing it for the second time, where I already know going in what I want to do, and by second time I mean second save file, not I've played through the game entirely. So for instance, you're going to see this week I've made 2 episodes of Graveyard Keeper. So hopefully it'll be 2 episodes, like 2-hour recording, but I played, you saw footage already this week of me playing through it as a live stream, playing through the first like 3 hours of it as a live stream, and it was a bit rambling and stuff because I couldn't figure out what to do and all that stuff. And I've tried to, now that I'm doing it a second time, I kind of understand what I'm doing a little bit better, and so I'm able to sort of kind of focus a little bit more. And so I'm going to try this out and have it where I'm doing the Let's Play as a non-blind playthrough, and I'll just, when I get to a point where I haven't seen it yet, I'll either stop the episode there and come back to it when I have played it on the live stream, or I'll play a little bit more, but I'll try to keep the the lack of progress and stuff to a minimum if I think I can do it. So that's where I'm going with that now. I'm kind of flipping it the way that I was doing it. I was doing it where I was like, I'll just do the blind Let's Play on the live stream, and then I'll just transfer it over and make episodes out of it. Now I'm thinking more like, let's make them separate. Let's do the blind stuff as a live stream, and then I can, I might have help from people. I had a lot of help from a viewer for Graveyard Keeper when I was playing that on the live stream. And I can get the help there that I need, and then when I go onto the YouTubes and do stuff, I will do it as I now know what the heck I'm doing kind of thing. And then that allows me, that also, what I found, it allows me to, at least somewhat, relax a little bit more, because I'm not as worried about making good content at that point, because I know what to expect. I know what's coming up. You see this particularly with like games that I've played a long time ago, like the Wing Commander games and whatnot. It's hard to make Wing Commander games interesting, let's be honest there, because there's a lot of space combat fighting. But in the cutscenes and whatnot, I can sort of have some nice interesting nuggets that I could talk about, like I can talk about the lore of the game and things of that nature. That I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't know what I was doing when I came into it. You know what I mean? I could be a little less of a passive consumer and a little bit more of a, I know what's coming up and I know how to handle this kind of thing. I can play this up to the cameras a little bit, be a little bit of a ham slightly, but not too much. So, and I think that enhances the viewing of it. I think if I look back at, I'll be editing. I haven't edited the Graveyard Keeper videos yet. I'll be probably doing that in a few hours here. But I have a feeling just from recording them that they're probably a lot better than what I've done in a while. A lot more interesting than what I've done in a while. Let's put it that way. Maybe not better, but more interesting. So I'm hoping that that shines through a little bit more and maybe makes the videos a little bit more interesting, because again, I do watch my own, and I can tell you that they're not as interesting as they used to be. I used to, years ago, I feel like I've lost something in the years I've been doing YouTube. I feel like the 5 years I've done YouTube has caused me to sort of, I don't know, become jaded or something. I'm not sure what, but it has caused me to lose a step or two, and I'm trying to recover some of that. And I'm also trying to do things other than the Let's Plays, because they're not really doing so well anymore on the tubes. Even worse than, I mean, at least when I started out in 2013? 2013, 5 years? Yeah. When I started out in 2013, we were still on the tail end of the Let's Play stuff. It was starting to change a bit, the viewing habits, but it was still very much a thing that people went to YouTube for, and now it's maybe not so much anymore. Especially with all the recent changes and all that stuff, the demonetizations and everything that's happening. So that's where I'm standing with that. I feel like I'm now repeating myself. So let's just move on from there and just say that I'm making these changes. I have ideas for things. I've always had ideas for things. I just haven't. I've just had this nugget in my skull that I just need to do Let's Plays, and that was it, because that's the only thing I've proven that I can do, repeatedly, over a long time, and everything else that I've tried I've stopped doing, like the news articles and all that stuff. So I need to prove to myself that I can do something else in a long-term fashion. And doing the writing and stuff is, I haven't written things in written articles and stuff in a long time. I used to write quite a bit when I was in high school and stuff. My writing's not necessarily any good, but I used to do a lot of it, and it's been a while, and I'm rusty, but I'm hoping that I can kind of get to a cadence where I can write something and maybe not feel like I need to revise it 92 times like I normally do. Maybe I can get to a point where I can, get something out there a lot faster than, 3 weeks of sitting on it. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I'm going to try it and see what goes on. I've had other ideas. I've wanted to bring some programming into the channel a little bit. I really like the programming puzzle games and stuff, but I've also thought about just doing it myself, like bringing some programming in and maybe like programming mods for a game or something like that, or even doing some emulation. But again, all that requires enormous amounts of time. And with the programming stuff, it's not necessarily that it takes a lot of time. It's more of, I'll give you this week as an example. I've been under tons of deadlines this week. It's actually, there's a lot been going on in my personal life this week that has just caused me to just not like life right now. I've been not in the best of mindsets lately. Just this week anyway. It's getting better. Don't worry about it. But it's I finally got the stuff done that I needed for one deadline. Now I got more deadlines coming down, so it's been a little bit stressful, to say the least. And when you come home when I come home after doing all that, programming all day and just kind of tired and I just want to unwind, it's hard to go back into an IDE and start programming again. It really is. You just kind of want to just turn your brain off for a little bit and play some video games and whatnot. So I maybe someday I'll find a happy medium where I can do some coding again back when I'm home, and maybe do it in such a way that I can make videos of it and stuff, but and make it video game related, obviously. But right now I'm kind of tabling that idea. My thought actually was doing something similar to what you're seeing in the video here, which is take old games and figure out if I can figure out how the code worked, and see if I can do it better, or well, not better, but see if I can replicate it, that kind of thing. Not that this footage is replicated stuff. It's just it gave me that idea. So I that's where I stand there. As far as some other things with streaming and whatnot, I know that Steam has had streaming for a while. I think they were just picked up by Restream.io, where you can stream from Restream to Steam. And I know they've been making a push where they have their own website now. I'm keeping an open mind. I'm not gonna promise anything right now that I'm gonna do streaming on Steam. But I'm keeping an open mind about it. We'll see what happens there. I would really love it if one of these, if I could stream to Caffeine without using the Caffeine app, I would be thrilled beyond words, because the Caffeine app causes my old computer to basically, like, between that and OBS, even though I have the latest OBS with all the performance enhancements and stuff, it's still, my old computer runs at like 55% CPU, and it's rough. I just really want to be able to use just OBS and stream the Caffeine and all that stuff. So I'm hoping at some point they'll give up this hopeless thing of having their own app and just integrate themselves with other services, or integrate themselves with Restream.io or something like that, or that uses WebRTC, so I can finally ditch that app. It's really useless, and it just eats up CPU when you don't need it to, and it makes it, so and it's reading off the OBS preview window, and it's as much of a hack as you can freaking come up with, you know. So I'm hoping they ditch that at some point and just get some sanity back in their lives. But you know, dare to dream on that. I'm looking at, I keep an eye on some other streaming sites. Stream Me is one I've kind of looked at a little bit. I think there's another one called Good Game, but I have a feeling like I've seen that one before, and it was mostly for like Counter-Strike or something like that. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there with that. I have to look at it again. But I am keeping those things in mind. I don't expect me to come back to Twitch anytime soon, especially with the crap that they've done with Twitch Prime now, where they're not taking ads off anymore when you're on a Twitch Prime subscriber. You have to get Twitch Turbo separately, another $10 separately. So yeah, screw that noise. I didn't want to support them to begin with, and I definitely don't want to support Twitch anymore after those changes, because that's the type of thing. That's what happens when you go from being a privately held company to being a publicly held one, right? It's all about the shareholders now, and they just want to make hand over fist money, and they don't care who they screw over in the process of doing that. So welcome to the new Twitch, just like the old Twitch, except now they're going to do about as bad as YouTube is. They're gonna screw over the very people that they need to make content for them. So it was bound to happen at some point, and it's happening. It's happening. So I'm not touching them with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, so that's where I stand on that, and everything else. I think, you know, right now with video games, what am I playing? I am, as I said, I'm bringing Graveyard Keeper into the mix at some point here this week, probably. I have a bunch of Destiny 2 footage to get through, and then you'll see all that. And then recording more stuff, doing lots of live streaming. Hopefully this week I'll do the full live streams, 4 days of it, and not just, get tired of it and only do 2. This week has been rough, and Thursday and Friday I just was not feeling it. I was just not feeling like I could go on stream and be cogent at all. And I was also struggling to figure out what I wanted to play. I've been playing some Torchlight 2, and I'm going to continue that. I'd like to finish Torchlight 2 because I never have. And so I've been playing that a bunch, but I haven't really felt like playing much of anything else. It's been that kind of a week. I've just been kind of disgusted a little bit this week. So I've been doing what I can, and we have that coming. I might have some, in the name of having something that's a little bit more sandboxy, like Graveyard Keeper and stuff, I might be having some House Flipper on the channel. I did do a side quest video of that many moons ago when it was still early access. I might do some of that because there is a little bit of a push for a little bit of creativity that you can bring into that. So I might do a little bit of that. It's a little lesser known thing, and it might bring some eyeballs in. We'll see how that goes, how that flushes out. But that'll be something that I won't do on a live stream. That'll be something I do just as a regular recording thing. I've been giving myself Mondays as a way to catch up with a lot of the side quest videos I need to do, as well as just giving me a day to work on YouTube videos and stuff. So, and then live streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever I feel like it. Occasionally Saturdays, but not often, because I have to do a lot of other things, and as well as trying to get more footage recorded for the week and all that stuff. So that's the way the schedule's been. That's the way it's going to continue for a little while. The videos are continuing, and Also, I've been looking into the other reason I was thinking about doing this whole second impressions thing was I've been thinking about putting my side quest videos and my and renaming them, calling them first impressions, and having my second impressions videos go up not only on YouTube but also on a different service. I've been looking at Library as the service. It seems to be interesting. I don't know exactly how it works yet. I've been kind of reading up on it. They have a thing where you can migrate videos directly from YouTube to them. I'm kind of looking at that. You need an app though in order to see the videos. They do have a website, but it's mostly the app that they run. I've also been looking at DTube a little bit too. The only problem with DTube is that there's a lot of the front page. If the front page is indicative of what's on DTube, there's a lot of nonsense there, even more so than YouTube. It's probably all the people who got banned from YouTube went to DTube, probably. So we'll see about that. I'm looking into it. But yeah, I am looking into alternatives to YouTube because I don't think YouTube is going to be very welcoming anymore to its content creators. I think they've decided that they just want to have only the big names and everyone else can go take a hike. And I think everyone else is going to take a hike. If they're starting to anyway, at least in gaming anyway. Maybe not so much in like other categories like makeup and all that stuff. But in gaming at least, there's been a big exodus, and rightfully so. So it seems like kind of a wasted effort to put time into putting videos out on the YouTube sometimes, because it's like nobody's going there for it anymore. But it's that's why I'm looking at these other services, because maybe at the very least I might be able to. It's kind of like the underdog syndrome. It's like you might be able to just go somewhere where there's a smaller crowd and actually have more views because you're at a smaller crowd, that kind of thing. So whatever. Those are my thoughts, and I think it's about time that I wrap this up because I've been going for an hour here. We're seeing the You Are a Super Player ending for the second time here, so it's about time for me to wrap up these rambles. So thank you everyone who has shown up on the channel for the first time, and thank you to all the veterans who've stuck around on the channel. More to come, and I'll have another channel update for you guys back next month. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.